Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is giving us different verses. No, I'm in the wrong book. Okay, Guru Maharaj is giving us verses from different great souls, which is establishing the position of Anukulyasya Sankalpa, which means, who knows?
Is that what is favorable?
Yes, very good. Accepting what is favorable. And this is words from the devotees, nectarine words from the devotees. Anybody know what the Sanskrit is? Let's see if I know. Bhakta Vachanamritam. Let's see. Sri Bhakta Vachanamritam. So honor to the bhaktas. Okay. Right, we've just heard two analyses of verses, one from Raghunath Das Goswami and one from, I think, Rupa Goswami, analyses by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur about the position of Sri Krishna and the transcendental abode. And of course, each one has Guru Maharaj's introduction. So this one is text number 24 of this third chapter, Acceptance of the Favorable. Okay. So this is a verse from Rupa Goswami. O Agadama, O Yasodanandana, O Nandashuno, O Kamalanayana, O Gopi Chandra, O Vrindavanendra, O Pranata Karuna, O Krishna, you have appeared in many divine forms such as these. Therefore, O Lord, who are known by these holy names, kindly let my fondness for you flourish. That's the verse by Rupa Goswami. Oh, the introduction by Srila Guru Maharaj. Nama Bina Braja Bhajana Prarthana. Anybody remember what prarthana means?
Prayer.
Prayer, very good. Okay, Braja Bhajana must mean devotion in Vrindavan, and Nama Bina, something like without the name, but let's see. Okay, Guru Maharaj says, a prayer to taste the nectar of devotion in Vrindavan, Braja Rasa, non-different from serving the holy name in pure devotion, Nama Bhajana. Oh, so Bina, it's Bina is without. Bina is not, like non-different. Okay. So there's different names of Krishna listed, and O Lord, who are known by these holy names, let my fondness for you flourish. So it's being established by Srila Guru Maharaj, by the utilization of this verse, that Krishna's got so many different, even in the transcendental abode, Krishna has so many different names, and each name represents a particular position that he takes in relation to the devotees to exchange in, loving service. He is the receptor and the devotees are the giver, but sometimes it switches around. Sometimes he becomes devoted to his devotees. And this is his, pleasurable pastimes. That inconceivably, that the Lord can take on the position of a servant in relation to his devotees. And indeed, so many places it says Krishna is purchased by the devotion of the devotees. And that, understanding of Krishna's position in relation to the devotees is manifest in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he comes down and gives us, by his very existence, he gives us a glimpse of what reality is. Bringing in the holy name, within the holy name is contained all reality. Everything is contained within the holy name. We hear this again and again. If we hear the holy name properly, it will transport us to Goloka Vrindavan. It has that kind of potency. So we'll do one more really quickly. So Guru Maharaj gives a summary in number 25. Divine aspiration in separation is favorable to perfection. And the verse is, Parama Siddhi Sankalpaha. Parama Siddhi means, the maximum power, in this case, favorability, I think. Sankalpaha. Sankalpa. The positive, favorable, right? Yeah. The positive favorability in perfection. Divine aspiration in separation is favorable. Okay, so next there's a verse. O lotus-eyed Lord, when will I dance? Jai. O lotus-eyed Lord, when will I dance on the banks of the Jamuna, chanting your holy name with tears in my eyes? This is by the Sanskrit Ch.ch, which Guru Maharaj translates as votary. Votary means basically devotee. Votary is someone who, I guess, through words is expressing devotion. I think that's what the particular word indicates. I'll have to look it up, though, to see. Okay. So that's pretty straightforward. When will I be there at the Jamuna, lost in chanting your holy name? And the effect of chanting the holy name will bring tears in my eyes, feeling separation, which is what Guru Maharaj is saying is the necessity for developing favorable devotional service, or this divine aspiration in separation is favorable to development of devotional service. So, it's the appearance of the feeling of separation, just like the natural appearance of the feeling of dedication and love and service, all gradually comes in, not exactly comes into our heart, but descends from above and stimulates the awakening of the soul, so that gradually all these things come about. It's like we, naturally, even now, we feel something of separation, because that's one of the main things that's driving us in our devotional aspiration, is that we want to be together with Krishna. Otherwise, we're, it's not a mental or intellectual idea, but rather it's an idea that's driven by the heart, driven from within, and within that, even particle of appearance of devotion, there's contained all these different sentiments, of which the feeling of separation here is said as favorable to perfection, but generally it's understood to be like the most important symptom in the development of real, genuine devotion. Without separation, you can't really have proper union. And this is a very subtle point about perfectional development, but it has deep ramifications, because that context of understanding our relationship with Krishna is given by our gurus, and it descends to us And through that descent, we understand the method through which we can approach the Lord. And if that presentation is different, there's a whole different angle of approach. And, you know, in many cases, we hear from our gurus that angle of approach is not going to reach the right place. It's going to be, the approach will be downward towards Sahajism. Because to deny the clear life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in separation is like suicide. So our gurus are giving like fine analyses that give us clear understanding of what our position is. Okay. So Anukulyasya Sankalpa Sri Bhakti Vachanamritam Ki Jai. Sri Sri Prabhupada Jivanamritam Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Okay. We are on. We're just breaking into chapter 3. I have to get a page marker. Okay, so we're talking about the different ages, and we've heard about the Manvantaras. We've heard about the present Manu. Anybody remember the present Manu's name? It's in the Bhagavad Gita. It's Vaivasvata. And of the day of Brahma, there's 71 Divya Yugas. Is it 71? Yes. 71 Divya Yugas, and of that 71, 27 have passed. So in that 71, the day of Brahma, there's given a particular calculation of the total age of the day in terms of our years. And, oh, here it is. From the beginning of Brahma's day of 4,320,000,000 years, 6 Manus appear and disappear before Krishna appears. Thus, 1,975,320 years, 320,000 years of the day of Brahma elapsed before the appearance of Lord Krishna. This is an astronomical calculation according to solar years. And Srila Prabhupada is drawing this from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Surya Siddhanta, which he published as a professor in the name of Bimal Prasad Datta. Before he was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his name was Bimal Prasad Datta. Okay, I just ran over the purport of, I think this is the one we're on. It's text 10. At the end of the Dwapara Yuga, of the 28th Divya Yuga, everybody know Divya Yuga, remember? I don't think you were here. It's the four ages together, one Divya Yuga. So in the day of Brahma, there's 71 Divya Yugas, and right now we've passed 27, going into the end of Dwapara Yuga, of the 28th Divya Yuga. Okay, Lord Krishna appears on the earth with full paraphernalia of his eternal Brajabhumi. So this is unusual appearance of Lord Krishna in Brajabhumi, bringing down his whole transcendental paraphernalia, everything. And you know, what this means is that there's increased potency in that manifestation, and because of the increased potency, we've got you know, an increased chance to approach him, because the feeling, because it's more powerful, it's more accessible, you know, to those, at least to those who are opening their hearts. To those with you know, closed hearts or offensive mentality, it may have the opposite effect.
Divi Yuga, so it means Satya, Dvapara, Treta, and Kali. Satya, Dvapara, Treta, Kali. This is one Divi Yuga.
Yes.
And then the 71 in one day of Brahma.
Right.
So it means that during one of his day, things go wrong 71 times.
Things go wrong?
Yeah. I mean,
well, you know, of course.
71 times a day. Must have been very disturbing.
Well, the Divi Yugas, I mean, Krishna is descending, you know, I think it says in each Divi Yuga, and that descent generally is manifest through Lord Vishnu. Everything appears the same, but the potency is different, because in this age, Krishna descends directly. So I guess what I just said is that there's more accessibility for approach to Krishna, but in turn, because Krishna is even more present, there's more possibility for offense. So, but of course, in each yuga, there's possibility for offense, which is what you're saying, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's hear the Bangla. Ashta Vinksa Chatur Yuge Dvaparera Ch.ch. Brajara Sahite Hoya Krishnera Prakashe. Okay. Ashta Vinksa, the 28th, Chatur Yuge, of the cycle of 4 ages, Dvapara, of the Dvapara Yuga, Ch.ch. Anybody know Ch.ch? End, the end of. Brajara Sahite, along with Braja, Hoya is, that's the verb to be, is Hoya, Hoite, and so on. When you see that in Bengali, you know it's the verb to be in different contexts. Okay, of Lord Krishna, and Prakash means like oftentimes light, but in this case it means the manifestation, the bright appearance of. And we've already gone over this. At the close of the Dvapara Yuga, of the 28th Divya Yuga, Krishna appears, and then in the same Divya Yuga, Lord Chaitanya appears. Once in each day of Brahma, or once in 14 Manvantaras, each of 71 Divya Yugas in duration. All right. So Manvantara descends for 71, one day of Brahma. And 71 Divya Yugas is the day of Brahma. So each Manvantara descends for each Divya Yuga, which comes out to, each day of Brahma, which comes out to 71 Divya Yugas. Are you following this, Didi? Or just yes? Okay.
How many days of Brahma does he have?
Brahma has 100 years, as far as I remember, yeah. Yeah.
100 times 71.
How old is our Brahma?
No, 71 is one day. 100 years. I mean, I don't know how years calculate. I don't think it's calculated like by our planetary calculation, but, you know.
How old is he?
Brahma now? From what I remember, it's like early middle age. But I'm not 100% clear on that. But as far as I remember, it's somewhere in the middle, like that. And of course, there's partial destruction after each day, and then at the end of his life, there is full destruction. Partial destruction means everything is destroyed except Brahma Loka, and I think a few of the other higher planets in planetary systems. So we just heard, from the beginning of Brahma's day of 4,320,000,000 years, 6 manas appear and disappear before Lord Krishna appears. Thus 1,975,320,000 years of the day of Brahma elapsed before the appearance of Lord Krishna. And, you know, Prabhupada says, this is the astronomical calculation. And so Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was simultaneously expert in astronomy, astrology, and the Vedic scriptures and the cosmology. So he put them all together in a brilliant way in the form of Surya Siddhanta, which is, as far as I know, still is current in use amongst, scholarly Vaishnavas. Okay, text 11. Servitude, dasya, friendship, sakya, parental affection, vatsalya, and conjugal love, sringara, are the four transcendental mellows, rasas. By the devotees who cherish these four mellows, Lord Krishna is subdued. Okay. So notice, I noticed in this sringara, which is different from madhurya. So we'll see what, if Srila Prabhupada mentions anything, or if it's just a, you can use one name or the other, or it may indicate some particular, aspect of the loving relation. Like we see in Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there's so many aspects of the loving relation. I forget the number, but it's like 70 or something. And within each category, there's so many different subdivisions. I think so that it comes out like unlimitedly. There's unlimited aspects of the Lord's loving relation. So, whatever happens here in the loving relations on this plane also happens there, but in perfection. There can be nothing here that's not there. It's, or at least in terms of some, ideal origin of everything that goes on here in terms of different types of exchanges amongst living beings, amongst people, and maybe even amongst, like, love for dogs and things. I don't know if they have dogs in Vrindavan, but certainly they have cows, and Krishna certainly loves to pet the cows. Okay, so Dasya Sakya Vatsalya Sringara Chari Rasa Chari Bhavera Bhakta Yata Krishna Tara Vasha. Okay. Dasya. No, what's the translation of dasya? Servitude, right. Sakya. Can you do the English? Sakya? Yes, very good. Vatsalya. Parental affection. And Sringara, which is different than Madhurya, at least in terms of the name. We'll see if Srila Prabhupada says anything about that. What does Sringara mean? Well, in this case, it means just the fourth rasa, which is conjugal love, the same as Madhurya, at least how it's translated. Let's see if Srila Prabhupada says anything. Okay, the four stages are Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Sringara. Shanta rasa, or neutral stage, is not mentioned in this verse because although in Shanta rasa one considers the absolute truth, the sublime great, one does not go beyond that conception. Shanta rasa is a very grand idea for materialistic philosophers, but such idealistic appreciation is only the beginning. It is the lowest among the relationships in the spiritual world. Shanta rasa is not given much importance because as soon as there is a slight understanding between the knower and the known, active loving transcendental reciprocations and exchanges begin. So a slight understanding of transcendental position and relationship between the knower and the known. Of course, Krishna knows is a knower, and we are the ones who are known. So in that, it's always reciprocal. It's always two ways. There's a feeling of love that's given and a feeling of love that's given back. And, you know, we find that on this plane, and on that plane it's perfection. It's perfected. Okay, Dasya Rasa is the basic relationship between Krishna and his devotees. Therefore, this verse considers Dasya the first stage of transcendental devotional service. Yeah, so it's said that this final stage, which here is called Sringara or Madhurya, contains all the other stages. That all the other stages of development, of devotion, are contained within the final stage. So it means in the final stage, they're engaged in, you know, loving transcendental exchanges, in dancing and embracing and who knows. But that dance includes servitude, dasya. It includes sakya, friendship. It includes vatsalya, the feeling of love of a parent. And it peaks, it's the pinnacle in Madhurya. So gradually as you know, love increases, then the rasas change. And so there's, you know, we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam that sometimes there's changes of rasas, and sometimes even by the permission of the leaders of each particular rasa, you know, one devotee travels from one to the other. Sometimes even down from up. There's one story of a devotee, whose name I forget, traveling from Madhurya level to Sakya level. And he had to get permission of the leader of the Sakya Rasa, which was Krishna's friend. I can't remember. But anyway, maybe I'll remember it later. But anyway, you have to get permission from the leader of each particular relationship. Okay, so Krishna is subdued in each one of the rasas by his devotees. And the word for subdued is vasha. Subdued by them. Lord Krishna is. Yes.
Did you hear this explanation? I think Bhakti Siddhanta was explaining like why Sri Jagannath's Babaji Maharaj is crippled.
No, I've never heard it.
Like he tried to climb into Madhurya Rasa.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh dear, that's very high level. Because, yeah, so he's like somehow or other descended into this world, but he's a Babaji, and he's engaged in development of his own transcendental relationship within, but yet he's got, you know, apparently, and in practical terms, he's within a form that's present on this plane. So he tries to climb internally, and you know, it's said in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, a Nectar of Devotion, that there's a story of a devotee who was, what was it? Something like he was offering a lamp, and or
He was cooking.
Oh, he was cooking, right. He's cooking rice, sweet rice, and in the dream, he got burned, and when he came out of the dream, he was burned. He really was burned. So you know, the internal devotional activities that are performed by, you know, high souls like Gorkishore Das Babaji, Jagannath Das Babaji, in, you know, withdrawing from the material world and entering into their transcendental relationships, have, I guess, like you're saying, ramifications on this plane. So the one devotee is burned, while like touching the pot while cooking sweet rice in a dream, and the burn manifests in real life on his arm, or his hand rather. And the story told by Saraswati Thakur, that Jagannath Das Babaji crippled because he tried to climb to Madhurya Rasa from Vatsalya Rasa. Whatever that means. So yeah. So we picture climbing a ladder, but of course it's different than that. Falling off a ladder or something. But we can understand by analogy of things in this world, we can understand something of the transcendental world. So to picture him climbing with the ladder and then falling off gives us some understanding, so it's okay. Because the point is to increase the depth of our understanding. Okay, so next verse is text 12. Absorbed in such transcendental love, Lord Sri Krishna enjoys in Braja with his devoted servants, friends, parents, and conjugal lovers. Dasa, Shaka, Pita, Mata, Kanta, Gana, Lana, Braje, Krida, Kori, Krishna, Prema, Vishta, Hana. Okay, we all know Das, servants, Saka, friends, Pita Mata, father and mother, Kanta, Gana, lovers, Kanta, lovers, Gana, those people. Braja, Kori, Krishna, Prema, Avishta, Hana. Krida Kordi, plays. Krida Kordi, he plays. Absorbed in love, absorbed in prema. So Krishna is engaged in all these different pastimes with his devotees in inconceivable numbers. To understand inconceivable is inconceivable. It's not possible. But we can. I'll tell you this story again. When I lived up in the mountains in California, we went up very high and looked out from a kind of almost a peak, a top of a mountain that jutted up. And I looked out and I saw as far as you could see, all the way to the horizon, trees. And I thought, oh my gosh, how is it possible that they're all souls? There's like, who knows how many millions of trees I was looking at just in that one small area. And it was just like too much. My brain just short-circuited, and I thought, how is it possible? It's like impossible those all could be souls. So I told Srila Govinda Maharaj, and all he said was, his eyes got really big, and he said, yes, it is inconceivable. So, we can't understand how many millions and billions and more, trillions of living beings are engaged in transcendental loving service with Krishna, and how many millions and billions and trillions make the wrong choice. It's just, mind-boggling. We can't possibly understand the numbers of souls that are there in relation to Krishna. Just in the grass outside. What? It's impossible to understand, and we have to come to terms with things like that. In terms of our development of faith. And I think in the beginning we have faith, we have a feeling of the reality of the experience of our attempt to surrender. We feel that reality. So when we hear things like, you know, there's 1 billion souls in the grass outside in the yard, it's, you know, our mind, it's just too much for our mind to handle. But we just accept it without thinking about it. You know, it's the faith is like that. We have, you know, whereas lack of faith is not like that. They'll look at things like that and try to challenge. Not only challenge, but establish in their minds the idea that based on the extent of the understanding of their mind, they think it's not possible. But, you know, Krishna deals in those things which are not possible because he's God. And, you know, as devotees, we, you know, gradually come to terms with that fact that whatever we see within the temporary world is limited by our limited experience. Not only the limited experience of this body and the senses of this body, but it's limited by the very nature of our existence. We just can't know fully. So, you know, we can know we're Ch.ch Ananda, we can know ourselves, who we are, but in that knowing, we know that we, you know, can't know everything. That's like the pinnacle of knowing, is to know that you can't know. Something like that. So, Srila Prabhupada's purport. The absolute personality of Godhead, as is said in the Bhagavad Gita, is descent in various activities. Anybody who understands that is liberated and does not have to fall again to this existence of birth and death. So that's said in Bhagavad Gita. And that was a big a point of misunderstanding in the early days when Prabhupada had first come, because he couched things in terms of our current perception, which was based on the you know, the Christian philosophy of the fall of man from heaven. But then you see in Bhagavad Gita, when he goes there, he never returns. So, you know, how do you balance that? And of course, we found out later with contact with Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and also with more reading of Prabhupada's books in depth, that the living being originates in kind of a middle state, and in that middle state is when the living being becomes fully manifest, that choice, that free will, also becomes manifest, and at that time the living being decides, you know, serve or try to be the one who's served. And Srila Prabhupada told us something like, you know, 75% are in the service attitude and 25% are in the rebellion. But, you know, we can't even calculate. But for our understanding, we were told that the material world is a dark corner of the spiritual world. You know, 25% of the whole creation, something like that. But then we begin to understand that everything is levels of consciousness. How we perceive what the material world is, you know, it's like really secondary. It's not very important to be arguing over it and getting all worked up and, you know, trying to organize people, you know, stop this perception and, you know, this or you know, the ideas of conspiracies where, you know, there are lizards or there are evil people or all these things. Okay, maybe it is. But, you know, finally, like I said before, who cares? We're trying to serve. And the material world is a mess. We understand that. You know, so go into the details of the entanglement of the material world. It'll never end. You'll get lost in it. The conspiracy will have no conclusion. It's just going to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and you're going to wind up on the planets of the Asuras or something.
But the assumption that we live on a planet in the middle of the space is automatically like assumes that there was Big Bang and evolution.
Relationships we share with everyone in the material world. Neutrality, servitorship. With the vision of our gurus, we can see how the material world is just nothing more than an impression of the spiritual world. And like some of the physicists are saying now, that it's just a hologram. It's like a hologram. Have you guys ever checked out holograms? I'm sure you have, Ramanan. You know hologram? Yeah, hologram, you know, Didi? Okay, hologram means Ramananda may be able to explain it more in detail, but basically they make a kind of three-dimensional image of a person or a living being, and that image appears, and it looks just like the real thing, except it's an image. How it works, I'm not sure, but I think they're able to do that now. And I remember when I was in the market in Camden, they were selling these little like buttons that were holograms. And you know, Bush is Hitler and stuff like that. Crazy stuff like that. With a picture of Bush flashing with a picture of Hitler.